First, joining us now with his thoughts on President Trump's momentous 100 days is Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. You know, Senator, as I reflect back on this 100 days, as I watch tonight's rally with the president in Michigan, there really is only one Donald Trump. You know, I remember after Reagan was president, you know, Republicans tried to sound like Reagan. They used the same words as Reagan, but they weren't Reagan. And I think we're seeing a moment in history where you have a guy that really is disrupting that place that you work in Washington, D.C. It is shock and awe. He's iconoclastic, and he's looking at everything anew. And I like all of what he's doing. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me start with my Democratic colleagues. A charitable interpretation of the behavior of the Democratic Party may exist, but I can't think of one. I think most fair-minded Americans think today's Democratic Party looks like the game room in a mental hospital. It's exquisitely shambolic. The only thing the Democrats contribute to the discussion is just a bunch of rabid barking. Many Democrats still drink their caramel frappuccinos and they carry their NPR tote bags, but their ideas are either non-existent or they're shallow, and their passions are immature. The Democratic Party today is not defined by its principles. It's defined by one thing. It's hatred of President Trump, even when he's right. For example, in the first 100 days, President Trump secured the border. The Democrats were opposed. In his first 100 days, President Trump got rid of racial quotas. The Democratic Party was opposed. In his first 100 days, President Trump started deregulating the economy. You mentioned it, Sean, getting rid of rules and regulations. The Democrats were opposed and are opposed. The president began the process, he and Mr. Musk, of scrubbing the budget, getting rid of the spending porn. The Democrats were opposed. The president, in his first 100 days, has backed Israel. He stood up to China. He stood up to Iran. The Democrats are opposed. And the final point I would make that I haven't heard anybody talk about it today is Europe. President Trump has changed Europe. The Democrats were opposed. We both know, Sean, that President Trump, he exists loudly. And his loud existence has awakened the Europeans from their slumber with respect to their economic model and their national defense. The Europeans are 9 times richer than the Russians. Why should Americans have to pay for their national defense? And the president has demanded a change there. I don't mean to be unkind, but you know, I would rather watch reruns of The View for the rest of eternity than to listen to some of my Democratic colleagues. And I think I'm pretty tolerant.
You mean you don't like the sing-alongs and the slogans and the performative art? You're not a big supporter of the bingo paddles. You know what's amazing? I watched them. There's been no introspection, no change of course on their part. They still champion men's rights to play women's sports. They were even standing up for MS-13 gang members and Tren de Aragua gang members and their so-called rights over the safety of Americans. They think it's a constitutional crisis if you cut out waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption. And then they wouldn't stand for mothers that lost their children at the joint session. That spoke volumes to me. They wouldn't stand for a young man that beat cancer or the wife of a slain hero. It's now the party of AOC and, you know, Grandpa Bernie and the squad and, Jasmine Crockett. Those seem to be the emerging leaders. Your thoughts on them?
Well, I think Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is the leader of the Democratic Party today. Some might say Senator Schumer But I think
Schumer's
it's
at a
Congress.
17% approval rating today. 17. Democrats are in
Yeah.
the 20s.
Yeah. I think it's Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. And as I said before, she's entitled to her opinions. My personal opinion is that God gave her a billy goat brain and a mockingbird mouth. I mean, look, I believe in the power of ideas. And my Democratic colleagues have no ideas. All they have is hatred for one man, even when he's right. And that's
Yeah.
President Trump. And I don't think that's healthy for them. I don't think that's healthy for America.
Oh, I agree. You're probably the most quotable senator in Washington, and that's a compliment. Senator Kennedy.
It's a low
always
bar.
appreciate
It's a low bar, Sean. It's a very low bar.
That's probably true, too, actually. Senator, appreciate you. Thanks for being with us.